Hey there, thanks for clicking. My name is Dr. Maya, and today I'm going to be talking with you about the basic components of a business plan for musicians and artists. Let's get started. First of all, we want to answer the question for ourselves, why do we even need a business plan? If you're a musician or an artist, sometimes it's hard to think in terms of business, and we might be questioning the need for such a plan. But if you're trying to succeed in the music industry, you're a business, and every business needs a plan. A thoughtful plan really helps you to understand your finances, your goals, and really set realistic expectations for your success in the music industry. So start off with a plan. Right now, I'm going to get into just a quick overview of all of the different components that are within a business plan. And in some following videos, we're going to talk through each of those components and show you examples. For this presentation, let's just get into the actual components that you'll need to include in your basic business plan as an artist, band, or musician. So first of all, let's just talk about what are the components. Let me move myself down over here so you guys can see. First of all, you start off with an executive summary. This is going to be the first part of your beautiful business plan presentation and is a quick overview of your artist bio, what's been going on with you lately, and a snapshot of why you're presenting this business plan. Now, just to kind of reiterate, this is an actual plan for business. So that means you're planning towards a recording project, a tour, maybe a new merchandising endeavor, something like that. And you'll be presenting this business plan to people who will support you. So whether that's monetarily or not, it may be a bank, it may be even an artist manager or another intermediary in the music business that you'd like to work with. Understand your audience. And I'll tell you that when we talk about marketing a lot, but it's also anytime you're making any document or planning for your business, understand who you're making that document for. And so in the artist business plan, we open up with an executive summary kind of towards that mission. So if you're looking for financing from a bank, for example, you might focus more on the financial side of things in your executive summary, but understand this is only maybe a paragraph. You can consider your artist business plan a presentation. Just like the slides I'm showing you right now, you could actually take something like that and create it into a business plan. It's a presentation. And so the first page of that, the first slide, if you will, is the executive summary. It's really to get that person's attention and quickly tell them, what is this business plan for? What is it about? The introduction then would be your next part of this, and you get a little bit deeper into actually what you're trying to go for and who your band or your yourself as an artist really is. So the executive summary you can think of as just almost like a preview and drawing somebody in, that hook. And then the introduction is talking more about the specific project that you're trying to get funded, the specific endeavor that you're talking about. Then you go on to your mission statement, and that's more of who you are as an artist or a band, why you exist. The mission statement is sort of like the why. And so if you saw my video on branding, you could even use your core brand statement here as your mission statement. Then you would go on to your vision statement, and that is much more closely related to the goal of the business plan presentation. And so the vision statement is more about, let's say, the tour that you're trying to get funded or sponsorship for, or the recording project that you are planning out right now. So the mission statement is more about the why and the who of the artist and the musician or whoever you are. And then the vision statement is, what is my goal? What am I working towards within my mission? What's the actual physical activity or business endeavor that we're talking about here with this business plan? So you got your executive summary, your intro, your mission, and your vision. And that's all sort of, that intro piece, the intro portion to the artist business plan. Then you're going to move a little bit more into the details at that point. And so you'll go into the artist bio and history. And that's more in depth. It's going to be more about each different band member and what their functions are within the business. It's going to also include other folks that are involved in your business. Maybe you already have an artist manager. Maybe you're working with a publicist, a content manager. Maybe you're working with already somebody who's financing some of these things for you. So you would have your investor. So you're going to talk a little bit more about the people that are involved in the artistry. So whether you're a solo artist or you're with a band, you go a little bit deeper into details about those people. And then you also share functions of those people. So let's say your bassist also books all the shows for you, as long as, yeah, and so let's say that your bassist books all the shows for you. And so you would want to put that in your artist bio as the function of, I'm not only a bassist and a songwriter, I'm also booking the shows for the band, something like that. And so you're giving a little bit more detail on who's involved. And this is a really great way to showcase the good people that you have involved in your business. If you're working with a marketing consultant who's been involved in the music industry for a number of years, you may want to feature that in your artist business plan. If you have an investor who's already backed you up, feature that person in your business plan, because it gives you that clout. It shows that you're serious. It shows you're already working with great people. If you're not, that's okay. Just talk about your band or talk about who is involved in the artistry part of things and give a little bit of history. What have you accomplished so far? How many albums have you actually recorded so far? What's your average audience size? And we'll get a little bit more into that. This should also be considered kind of a summary, a preview, and should be no more than one slide. Each one of these things should be about one slide, and you can link out to additional documents as needed. But this really should be a quick overview, as if you're doing like a presentation, as I'm doing right now, giving you the bullet points. You want to make sure that you're not giving too much on every single slide, because it's information overload. So take that as you will. You'll be doing your artist bio and your history. And then you go into your market. And again, if you've been watching my marketing and branding videos, one of the most important things is to figure out who your target audience is. Make an avatar. Sometimes we call it an audience avatar. And that's really giving that person a name. Thinking about demographics, geographics, psychographics, interests, right? When are they on Snapchat? Are they even on Snapchat? Those types of questions. You really want to be detailed about this in the artist business plan. And it is one of the most important parts of it, because person that is going to be checking this out cares whether or not you have an audience for what you're doing. If it's a very, very niche, small audience, it may be hard for you to get the type of funding that you're looking for, unless you're going after a very small, niche investor pool that is into that. Maybe there's an insane clown posse style investment pool that they're really going to try to go and invest in something like that. I will just say, as a rule of thumb, the wider and broader you can be with your appeal to an audience, the easier it's going to be to get other people involved in your business, because there's an opportunity for profit. And let's just remember that this is not the music friendship. This is not the music hobby. This is the music business. And so you are making a business plan to entice someone to either invest in you or work with you in some way and believe in your career. And it is a career. So, I know a lot of these things may make us artists uncomfortable, because we don't like to think about money. We don't like to think of ourselves as, a profitable investment. But that's the point of your artist business plan. And one of the most important things to think about is your market. So be really specific about that. If you want to put in, pictures of your crowd, or even stock photos kind of representing what that crowd is like, or what that avatar would be, put that in there. Use maybe 2 pages of the presentation on this particular item to really outline the fact that you understand the market you're going after. This is true of any type of business plan, but especially for artists, because sometimes we get so into, what we're creating, we forget that we're actually creating it for other people. And so you want to make sure that you include that in your business plan. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about after this kind of first part of the business plan, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what you've done so far. And so this is going to be a great place to show your graphics, your branding, and we've talked about that in some other videos. So make sure that you get something together on that. Show your logo. Show that you've already been working on a website, that you can share your brand, that you've already thought of those things. And so that'll make you look a lot more professional, and that you've already done some work on that to move yourself forward. You also want to get into now the project information that you're actually seeking to share. And so this could be funding for a recording project. It could be something like seeking sponsorship on a tour. It's kind of like I said at the very beginning, you want to make sure you're understanding the audience for your business plan. Who are you sending this out to? If it's a bank, maybe it's more serious, it's more financially driven. If it's a sponsor, it may be more culture driven and audience driven. So consider your audience really with whatever you're doing, whether that's songwriting, business planning, marketing planning, creating your website. It all comes back to the give, what you're giving that audience, what value you're providing to what audience. And so without going too far off on that tangent, you're going to go into your project information and include a budget. So this is another part of it that may be more than one page. Most of it's not going to be more than one page. So just, keep that in mind, but you're going to be starting to share your project information. And so if that's a recording project, give me a spreadsheet that shows recording studio cost, session player cost, maybe there's an engineer that you have to pay. Those types of things you're going to put on your producer hat and think about the budget and think about the timeline for what's happening. If it's a tour, do you already have venues that are interested? Who are those venues? What's going to be the cost for getting you there? Are you asking for funding for a tour bus, for graphics to be put on that tour bus? Think of all of those things, because the more specific you are, the better it's going to be for your funding opportunities. And if you forget about that 10 grand that you accidentally needed for gasoline or food or something like that, if it's not in your business plan, you're not going to get it. And so then you may be stuck with an investment that's not enough, or the investors that you're looking to talk to, or the sponsors, or whoever the audience is, they may see that gap in understanding and say, you know what, you really haven't planned this out very well. Why don't you get back to me when you have a real business plan, kid? You know what I mean? So be specific. And this should be another huge part of your business planning, is that project information. What are you planning towards with this business plan? Now, a quick note about that is that you will want to adjust your business plan presentation or document with each type of person you're sending it out to. So if you want to, maybe get attention from a certain person that you want to collaborate with, the business plan would be something different than if you're trying to get attention from, an investor or a bank, or if you're trying to get attention from, let's say a big artist manager that you want to share your serious business plan with, so that they see that you're ready for a relationship like that. So as you can see, there's going to be adjustments to this business plan. Your mission, your vision, those may stay the same, but you're going to probably want to make a copy of this business plan and adjust things for each different person you're sharing it with, and also each different project. So, one of the things to really understand is that it's not going to just be one business plan. It's going to be a different business plan for each person and for each project, sort of with one main business plan that you're drawing from and pulling slides from and using. But just like a resume, right? You're not going to send out the same exact resume for every single application that you're putting out. You're personalizing it, right? I hope you are. So if you're a job seeker, out there in the corporate world, you personalize your cover letter. You personalize your resume every single time. And that's what you should be doing with your business plan as well. So it's not that you can't include more than one project, but you want to try to make this business plan really succinct and really understandable in terms of the ask that you're making. So project information. The next portion of this is really going to be to showcase more of what you've done so far. So this could be in a different order. You could do graphics and branding, and then your press kit and website content, and then the project information. You could put the project information first. My point is you want to include every single one of these things. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this order. So make it your own. You're an artist. Be creative, right? So the next thing that you will include is some kind of press kit. If that's on your website, that's fine. You can even just link to it. Maybe take some screenshots of that, put it into the presentation, and then say, for more, visit this link, and the link would take them to your website. So you're going to want to have that website done before you start to seek, help or investment or things like that. So that should be part of your business plan is, hey, here's the press kit we have so far. Here's the website, maybe some content. If you've done a lot of social content, or if you took my advice and did that content planning template that I've shared before, you can share your content planning template. You can say, hey, here's how we plan out our social content every month. the point of this is to show how professional you already are, and that really you just need that last help or that last partner or that last push to get this project done. So right here, you're showcasing your foundation. You're showing what you've already done. And so that would be your press kit, your website, your content, whatever you do have already, and maybe even sharing some plans if you don't have those things completed already. So there you go on that side of things. And then we're going to just go ahead and move into some more of that specific stuff. So you're going to talk about merchandise. Do you have any? What does it look like? How much have you sold so far? Put your Shark Tank hat on now, right? Like the Shark Tank people are going to say, well, great, how many units have you sold so far? How much does it cost per unit? How much profit does that mean that you've made? What does it look like? Why does it appeal to people? And so you're going to do that with your merchandise page. You may talk about touring plans. Even if you're not asking for funding and that's not your featured project with the business plan, if you do have touring plans, it's really great to include that because, again, it shows you're professional, you're out there working, you're already going on your career. And so really filling that gap with a new partner is not that far of a leap. That's the kind of message you're trying to send with this is like, look, I'm professional. I've thought of these things. I'm doing it already. Now I'm just trying to enhance what I'm doing and enhance my career with a partnership from you, Mr. Sponsor, Miss, investor, or whoever it might be. Okay. Then you're going to talk more about your fan base. What fan base do you already have? So this, again, it could be organized near your market. The market is different from the fan base. So the market is bigger. The market is what is out there in the music industry in general. How many hip hop albums are being sold now every year? How many streams are being streamed on Spotify? It's the more broad level market-based information. Your fan base is who you have as a fan base already right now. So you're sharing things like, I have an email list of 673 people. I email them every month. I get a lot of engagement on my social channels. I have, 3,000 followers on Instagram, and that's my fan base there. And every time I try to sell tickets to a show, I sell them out, those types of things. And so you're talking more specifically about who your audience is right now when you're going into the fan base. Then you're going to go into your support partnerships, your artists or your support partnerships. And so that would be, again, like maybe you're already part of a performing rights organization. And so you would talk about ASCAP in this presentation. You might talk about how you have a venue partnership in your city and you play every third Friday night at that venue, and it's a partnership. Maybe you have a partnership with a local radio DJ, something like that. And so you're kind of showing the support that you already have. Along those lines, you're also going to start talking about the financial support that you already have in your sponsors and investors section. If I'm an investor and I'm looking at your business plan, I'm going to want to know who else is already involved. What kind of stake do they already have in your business? And so you may be seeking support with an album project, a recording project. And so you're sending this off to, #1 recording studio in your city, and you're asking them to support you by giving you half price on recording costs, for example, on studio time, right? And so this doesn't always have to be something where you're asking for an investment. You may just be wanting to share and showcase your plans and your vision for your career so that somebody else, again, takes it seriously and takes you seriously. So this can be used for any number of reasons, but they're always going to want to know who else is already involved, right? And so if you already have, like, let's say you have a tour sponsor and you say, okay, great. Well, I'm already working with Fanta orange soda, right, on my tour for next summer. We're going to call it the Orange Crush Tour. It's amazing. We already have all this artwork. You're sharing all of that and your touring plans, maybe even your merchandise section, your graphics section even could include some things like that. But in this section here, you're going to be talking about that. Hey, I've already got a sponsor. They pay for my tour bus already. What I'm seeking from you is support on the recording side. So it doesn't have to be directly related to your ask, but you want to give the lay of the land of like, hey, these people are already sponsoring me. They're already supporting me. I have these investors, and maybe you have an investor that's taking 10% of your career overall. And so another investor is going to want to know that because that's 10% that they cannot participate in, if that makes sense. Your artist manager, they're going to want to know that too, because if the investor's already getting 10%, is that before or after their commission? So those are some of the things that people are going to want to know financially and support-wise. And then also just kind of psychologically, right? If somebody else is already endorsing you and they're already standing behind you as a great person or band to invest time, energy, and money into, that's a great thing to share because it's giving you that social proof that you're worth it, right? That this person should be reading the rest of the business plan and contacting you right away to sign some sort of agreement to support you, right? Okay, so then we will move on from there to really kind of closing off the business plan at this point. And this is really where you're going to assess what's been going on in your career and what's that next step. So you've given a lot of information already, but you want to have a couple of like expected slides. These slides are going to be expected on any business plan, and you make yourself look very professional and that you really understand what's going on with business plans when you include these last few slides. And so you're going to have separate slides on successes that you've had in the past, challenges that you faced, and specific goals now moving through your career in the next quarter, the next year, the next 5 years. These should be very simple slides, a few bullet points on each. We're not going into paragraphs and pages of things that maybe you could have done better in the past or goals that you have. It's really succinct. Here's a few successes, here's a few challenges, and here's where we're going next. The other thing that you might want to include here, and you can take it or leave it, but a lot of people will include an assumptions slide. And so what you're thinking about is something like, we're facing right now, a global pandemic. It's 2020. We're facing a global pandemic. That means we may not be able to play live shows for months. We're thinking about summer festivals and summer tours being completely canceled right now, and those types of things. And so thinking about that, your assumptions page would say something like, and it doesn't have to only be related to, the coronavirus that we're currently experiencing in the world right now at the time of this, video, but assumption could be something like, assuming that we are able to continue touring, here's what the results might be. Assuming that our lead singer continues to be in the band, assuming that we obtain copyrights to what we're trying to copyright right now, assuming that our current lawsuit, is successful. Whatever those assumptions are, what you're basing your goals on, it does include some assumptions. So just make sure that you are aware of sharing those assumptions if you're making them, right? So it's kind of like, assuming everything goes well, here's what's going to happen. If there are not a lot of assumptions that these things need to be based on, you don't necessarily have to include this in your business plan, but it is a common thing to include. And so it might be good for you to just sort of think about that. Then you're going to have a separate part on financials. This is kind of, it's interesting because these business plans, usually there'll be repeated information throughout in different parts of it and saying it in different ways and being, more verbose or more succinct on certain slides. And this financials piece is one little part of that. Financials for this particular slide is going to be more of like an overall P&L, an overall profit and loss statement. Here's where we are now with your infusion of $15,000. Here's where we'll be, and these are the goals that we have in terms of the financial results of that, for example. So, especially in terms of bringing this to a bank or an investor or something like that, you're going to want to include current financials and projected financials. And this can take more than one page because it's a lot of information. This again is one of the most important pieces of this. So your audience, your current marketing plan and your financials are three of the most important piece of this. So that's that. I'm going to make some future videos about each part of this. And so you can go back to the financials video when you see that link and get a little bit more deep in that. Then you have a concluding slide, and that really just succinctly says, here's what we've talked about, here's what the goal is, and we are asking you for X, Y, and Z. Thank you so much, and here's how you contact us. So really reiterating that ask, what are you asking for in this particular presentation? And remembering that this artist business plan, it's for you to get yourself organized and get your goals on track, but it oftentimes is also shared with somebody else because you're asking them for something. And so that conclusion brings it back to the ask, kind of sets it up. So now that I've shown you this, now that I've shown you that, when can I pick up my check? So that's your artist business plan. I'm going to come back in the future and just give you a little bit more on each of those components of the business plan, but start thinking right now on your artist vision and mission, and I'll get back to you very soon. Thanks so much, and go ahead and visit us at marketyourpurpose.com.